All right, let's dive into this. Meek Mill is making waves in ways that nobody expected. The Philadelphia rapper, who once played things low-key while standing in the shadow of Diddy's flashy empire, is no longer holding back. For years, he stayed in the background, keeping his opinions mostly to himself. But now, he's speaking loudly, almost like he's shaking the whole table and daring it to break. It seems Meek has reached his breaking point. He's tired of watching the world pretend everything is fine, while whispers of hidden truths grow louder. According to him, those famous parties hosted by Diddy weren't just about champagne, private jets, and luxurious hotels. They were not the regular Hollywood gatherings people might picture. Instead, Meek suggests these parties crossed boundaries most people wouldn't dare to touch. Reports describe them as wild nights full of escorts, baby oil, locked doors, and no kind of protection. Now, Meek says the results of those reckless nights are finally catching up, not just socially, but medically too. And here's where things get messy. This storm doesn't just threaten Diddy, it threatens the entire music industry connected to him. Because Meek isn't simply throwing random shade, he's hinting at names, big names. The first name Meek attached to the chaos shocked everyone: Will Smith. That hit like a punch across the face, no pun intended. Rumors about Will's private life have been floating around for years, especially after his former assistant hinted about a secret double life. But Meek dragging him directly into Diddy's world was like throwing gasoline on a fire that was already smoldering. People online were already suspicious, but once Meek put Will in the mix, conversations exploded, and the timing couldn't be worse for Will. After the Oscar incident where he slapped Chris Rock, his image has been under heavy scrutiny. Now, with Meek's revelations, people are connecting dots that may or may not even be real. But in today's internet culture, perception becomes truth faster than facts can catch up. What makes all this worse is the fact that Diddy himself is already facing heavy pressure. Remember the federal raid on his home? Reports claim over 1,000 bottles of baby oil were found there. No exaggeration, just bottles on bottles, but not a single box of protection, no sign of safety measures, nothing. That discovery alone made people question just how reckless and dangerous these parties may have been. Whispers say that some people didn't just leave these gatherings with wild stories. They allegedly left with permanent reminders, health problems that can't be erased. Jaguar Wright, an outspoken figure known for revealing uncomfortable truths about the music industry, went even further. She claimed Diddy has been secretly battling something serious for years, HIV, not just herpes. And she didn't stop there. She suggested there's a list of about 20 people, all supposedly infected through the same underground scene. She hasn't released the full list yet, saying she's saving it for her own platform. But people online are already guessing names faster than a conspiracy theorist fueled by caffeine. Another name pulled into this storm is YK Osiris. His involvement slipped into the story almost by accident, but once it did, it couldn't be ignored. Osiris has shared several suspiciously close moments with Diddy, vacations together, shirtless photos, and late-night vibes that raised eyebrows. People were already buzzing about their relationship, but then Osiris's baby mother added fuel to the fire. She dropped a simple but shocking tweet: "I caught him with a man." Direct, blunt, and messy enough to grab attention everywhere. Adding to the suspicion, Osiris had a very public breakdown on Instagram Live, crying and admitting he wanted to die. Watching him spiral in real time made fans wonder if this was just emotional stress, or if he was carrying the weight of something much darker. What's strange is that Osiris hasn't firmly denied the rumors. When he appeared on The Breakfast Club and the topic of Diddy came up, his reaction was awkward. He laughed nervously, dodged the questions, and acted like someone trying to play dodgeball in a gym full of fast throwers. If you weren't paying attention, it might have seemed harmless. But looking closely, his deflection spoke louder than any denial could. At this point, it's no longer just about what Meek Mill said. It's about the domino effect his words have created. Every celebrity who has ever been seen close to Diddy is now under a microscope. Old pictures, old tweets, and old videos are being pulled up and re-examined. Matching outfits, private jet trips, spa visits. Suddenly, what once looked like friendship now looks suspicious. And here's the big question. If Meek Mill is brave enough to speak up now, what does that say about his own past connections? Did he participate, or was he simply watching? That question is burning through every comment section, and people want answers. French Montana hasn't been spared either. For years, he was Diddy's close companion, always appearing by his side at parties, yacht trips, and red carpets. But now that Meek brought his name into the storm, people are replaying old clips with a fresh perspective. One birthday celebration, in particular, caught the internet's attention. In the video, Diddy looked far too comfortable rubbing oil on French while standing in front of a cake. At the time, French laughed it off, but now that clip feels less funny and more suspicious. What once seemed like harmless fun is now being dissected like courtroom evidence. Then there's Usher, whose connection to Diddy goes back decades. What unsettles many is that Usher was only 13 years old when he lived at Diddy's New York mansion. In an old interview, Usher admitted the environment was wild and inappropriate, even joking that he wouldn't let his own children near that lifestyle today. He laughed while saying it, but that nervous laugh spoke volumes. Adding to the unease, Usher has already faced lawsuits from women claiming he exposed them to herpes. When you place those details next to his history with Diddy, the puzzle pieces start to fit together in ways that make people very uncomfortable. Another name that has resurfaced is Craig Mack, one of Bad Boy's original stars, who gave Diddy his first big hit. But after a while, Craig disappeared from the spotlight. He became deeply religious, joined a cult, and cut off ties with the industry. In 2018, he died from AIDS. The circumstances of his departure and his death raise questions. Some believe he wasn't just walking away from fame, he may have been running from something he saw. In a chilling old clip, Craig even spoke about being threatened by a powerful figure in the music world, claiming he was told he owed someone an album. Many now speculate that the person behind those threats was Diddy himself. As for Meek, he's been trying to protect himself. He offered $100,000 to anyone who could prove he wasn't involved in the things people accuse him of. But the internet doesn't forget. Photos of him and Diddy in matching outfits, jet trips, spa visits, and even an audio clip that supposedly caught them in an intimate moment continue to circulate. He can shout innocence all day long, but online communities have already made up their minds. Adding fuel to the fire, Orlando Brown, another outspoken figure, has accused Meek directly. He suggested that Meek wasn't just a bystander. He may have been one of Diddy's favorites, the one kept closest. If that's true, then Meek's sudden decision to speak up might not just be about clout. It could be a warning, or even an attempt to protect himself before someone else exposes him. What makes this even louder is the silence of other celebrities. Usher, Will Smith, and French Montana haven't really defended themselves. Instead, they've dodged questions or brushed them off awkwardly. Will tried to joke about it during a comedy show, claiming he had nothing to do with Puffy, but the crowd didn't laugh with him. His words sounded less like humor and more like nervous deflection. In a storm this big, silence doesn't equal strength, it equals suspicion. The craziest part is that insiders are starting to speak out. These aren't just random fans gossiping online. These are people who claim they were in those rooms. Their stories sound like plot lines from an R-rated TV series. Secret flights to private islands, parties where guests had to hand over their phones at the door, and non-disclosure agreements thicker than novels. For years, Diddy carefully controlled his public image. But now, that control is slipping, and everyone who ever stood next to him risks being dragged down too. What's noticeable now is the change in tone. It's no longer just jokes or rumors. There's fear. Fear of exposure, fear of reputations collapsing, fear of legal consequences. With federal investigators already involved, this situation is starting to look less like gossip and more like a criminal case. If the RICO charges connect to the health allegations, the results could be devastating. Careers might end, reputations could be destroyed, and people might even face prison. And Meek? No matter how many tweets he sends, his own image is stained. That alleged audio clip of him with Diddy still lingers online. Even though nobody has released the full version, the small snippets are enough to spark endless debate. Combine that with the photos, the videos, and the matching outfits, and it's hard for fans to believe his total innocence. Some say he's speaking now because he sees the walls closing in. Maybe he knows charges are coming and wants to separate himself. Others think he's genuinely trying to warn people. Either way, he's not being celebrated as a hero. People see him as someone who played both sides for too long, and now he's trying to escape the fallout. Memes and jokes flood social media, but the deeper story isn't funny. Behind the laughter, there are serious consequences. Real people allegedly facing health problems, lawsuits waiting to be filed, and a possible medical crisis hidden under layers of money and silence. Jaguar Wright's haunting claim of a deadly list still echoes. Whether the list is real or not, the fear it has sparked feels real enough. If documents, hospital records, or names start dropping, it won't just destroy Diddy. It could take down an entire generation of stars who thought the darkness would never come to light. Now it's a matter of survival. Who will speak first? Who will stay quiet? Who will disappear completely? Those wild parties might have felt untouchable when the doors were locked, but now that the doors are wide open, the aftermath looks less like a party and more like a purge.